I didn't even have time to sit down before Malcolm Reed lit the match. 1 minute, I was coding at my desk, the hum of my laptop filling the quiet office at Orion Tech on a crisp October morning in 2025. At 27, I, Ava Bennett, had poured months into perfecting the client dashboard, my fingers dancing over keys late into countless nights. The next, I was standing in the glass-walled conference room, every department head's gaze piercing through me like daggers, my failed dashboard blown up on the big screen like a crime scene photo. The red error messages glared back, a stark contrast to the pristine code I'd left the day before. "This," Malcolm announced, his voice booming with theatrical disdain as he pointed at the projection, "is what gross negligence looks like." My stomach dropped, a cold sweat breaking out as I realized those files had been flawless yesterday, untouched until someone with access, tampered with them. But I knew he wouldn't let me speak, his power play too well rehearsed. His voice sliced through the silence, each word deliberate, calculated to cut deep into my pride. "Ava Bennett," he said, savoring my name like a bitter wine. "You are officially terminated for incompetence. Effective immediately." The room was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat thundering in my ears, a drumroll to my public execution. Security stepped forward, their heavy boots echoing on the polished floor, and I forced myself to walk out without looking at anyone, my face burning with shame, my hands shaking with a mix of rage and disbelief. The only thing worse than being fired was the way they all avoided my eyes, like my shame might be contagious, a plague they dared not catch. I'd barely made it past the front doors, the cool air hitting my flushed cheeks, when my phone buzzed. A text from Shelley, "Meet me tonight." It's about Malcolm, and it's bad. I didn't know it yet, but that meeting would flip my humiliation into rage, and rage into a plan. The weight of the day pressed on me as I stumbled to my car, the city lights blurring through tears I refused to let fall. The diner was nearly empty, the smell of burnt coffee hanging in the air like a stale memory, the clock ticking past 9 p.m. as I slid into the cracked vinyl booth. Shelley slipped in across from me, her eyes darting to the door like a hunted animal before she reached into her bag with a nervous twitch. A small flash drive clinked against the table, its plastic casing glinting under the flickering fluorescent lights, a tiny beacon of hope in my spiraling world. "Ava! Malcolm sabotaged your presentation," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the diner's ancient jukebox. "It wasn't an accident. He had to bury something." I blinked at her, my mind reeling, trying to process the betrayal as the weight of her words sank in, each syllable a hammer against the trust I'd once placed in my workplace. She leaned closer, her breath warm against my ear. "That government contract he's bragging about? It's built on stolen civilian data. You uncovered it by mistake. This," she tapped the flash drive with a trembling finger, "is proof. But you didn't get it from me." Her hands shook as she pushed it toward me, the fear in her eyes mirroring the storm brewing in my chest. "Look at this." He even covered it up with fake audits. That flash drive in my pocket felt heavier than gold, and more dangerous than a loaded gun, its contents a ticking bomb I wasn't sure I was ready to detonate. I clutched it tightly, my mind racing with images of Malcolm's smug face, the conference room humiliation replaying like a looped nightmare. The diner's chatter faded as I weighed my options, the bitter taste of coffee doing little to steady my nerves. At home, I locked the door behind me, the click of the bolt a small comfort against the chaos swirling in my mind, and plugged in the flash drive with shaking hands. My screen lit up with memos, doctored audit trails, and email chains, each document a piece of a puzzle I hadn't known existed until tonight. I scrolled faster, my pulse pounding in my temples, the glow of the monitor casting shadows across my cramped living room. There it was, Malcolm ordering the deletion of files, instructing the team to blame me in case anyone noticed, his digital signature a cold confirmation of his treachery. The proof was crystal clear. A damning indictment lay bare in black and white, yet my first instinct was to send it all to the press, to shout the truth from every rooftop. But I knew what would happen. Malcolm would crush me, his army of lawyers drowning me in paperwork until I was ruined, my name dragged through the mud until it was unrecognizable. Shelley's voice replayed in my head, "There's another way. We can make him collapse under his own system. If Malcolm wanted me gone, fine. But I wasn't going quietly, and I sure as hell wasn't going alone." I paced the room, the flash drive burning a hole in my pocket, my thoughts turning to the allies I could trust, the ones who'd felt Malcolm's wrath as keenly as I had. The night stretched on, the city outside my window a silent witness to the plan taking shape. I opened a group chat and messaged 3 people I trusted. Maya, Leo, and Aaron, each name a lifeline in the storm Malcolm had unleashed. Each had their own Malcolm horror story, etched into their voices as we met in my cramped apartment, laptops open and takeout containers scattered on the floor like battle rations. Maya's voice shook with anger as she described being passed over for a promotion Malcolm promised her, her dreams dashed by his empty words, her talent ignored. Leo talked about a marketing campaign Malcolm stole, his hard work credited to someone else, his frustration palpable in the tight clench of his jaw. Aaron, the quietest, just said, "He cost me my job. I'm in," his steady gaze holding a resolve born from months of silent suffering. We didn't just want to build something better than Orion Tech. We wanted to build something Malcolm could never bury, a monument to our defiance. Aaron looked me straight in the eyes, his voice low. "If we do this, Ava, he'll come after us." His warning hung in the air, a shadow over our fledgling hope, but it only fueled my determination. We huddled closer, the glow of our screens uniting us, plotting a future where Malcolm's reign would crumble. We stayed up past 3 a.m., the clock ticking relentlessly as we sketched the backbone of our weapon, Sentinel Core, a platform that detects illegal data hoarding patterns and alerts the public through visible, verifiable analytics. The room was a mess of coffee cups and crumpled paper, the air thick with the scent of determination and desperation. It was elegant, a sleek design born from our collective genius, harmless on the surface yet poised to expose anyone using stolen data with surgical precision. Maya sketched user interfaces, her fingers flying over her tablet, while Leo brainstormed ways to make it go viral, his mind a whirlwind of strategy. Aaron glanced at his laptop, his brow furrowing. Orion Tech's firewall settings just changed. "Malcolm knows someone's moving in the shadows," he said, his voice tight with urgency. Aaron's warning wasn't paranoia. It was the first tremor before the quake, a signal that our enemy was already on the move. By morning, the exhaustion in our eyes was matched only by the fire in our hearts, ready to face whatever Malcolm threw our way. The next morning, my phone blew up, notifications pinging like gunfire as a glossy industry newsletter featured a full-page piece calling me unstable and a risk to any project. They dug up college photos, doctored them with a sneer, and plastered them next to headlines about my meltdown, twisting my past into a weapon against me. I slammed my laptop shut, the sound echoing in my quiet apartment, my hands trembling with a mix of rage and helplessness. Leo just grinned, his optimism a lifeline. "Perfect," he said. "Now when people search your name, they'll find us too." His words sparked a plan. Malcolm's smear could backfire, drawing eyes to our cause. If he thought dragging my name through the mud would stop me, he'd forgotten one thing. I know how to fight in the dark, my skills honed in the shadows of his empire. That night, I typed until my fingers ached, crafting a detailed but anonymous post about corporate data abuse, weaving facts into a narrative that hinted at Orion Tekka's sins without naming names. That night, I typed until my fingers ached, the glow of my screen the only light in my darkened apartment, as I wrote a detailed but anonymous post about corporate data abuse. No names, just facts. Each sentence a carefully placed stone in a foundation of truth that would crumble Orion Tekka's facade. By morning, it was everywhere. LinkedIn feeds buzzing, tech blogs dissecting it, forums erupting with debate. The comments were brutal for Orion Tech, a digital mob demanding answers. The post's reach grew exponentially, my phone buzzing with alerts as strangers rallied behind the cause, their outrage mirroring my own. Then my encrypted chat pinged. "You're closer to the truth than you think," a cryptic message that sent a shiver down my spine. But when you fight in the dark, sometimes something stares back, a reminder that Malcolm's reach extended into the shadows where I now operated. I sat back, the weight of the moment settling in, knowing this was just the beginning of a war fought with code and courage. Aaron's screen glowed blue in the dark room, his face illuminated by the stark light as he muttered, "We've been breached." He traced the attack straight back to Orion Tekka's HQ, his fingers flying over the keyboard with practiced precision, uncovering the digital footprints of our adversary. The intruder left a single file on our server, a taunting marker in the virtual battlefield. When Aaron opened it, the words glared back at us. "Stop or else," bold and unyielding, a threat etched in pixels. My breath caught, the room growing colder as fear crept in, a stark contrast to the heat of our earlier resolve. That's when I knew. This wasn't a game anymore, but a high-stakes duel where every move could be our last. We exchanged glances, the silence heavy with the realization that Malcolm was not just watching but actively hunting us, his resources far outmatching our fledgling team. Maya slammed her laptop shut, the sound a gunshot in the quiet of our war room, her voice cutting through the hum of keyboards. "Malcolm's launching his secure government platform at the Tech Expo. 6 days from now," she said, her words a deadline that landed in my gut like a lead weight. I felt the decision crystallize. We launched Sentinel Core the day before. Steal his spotlight. The plan was bold, a direct challenge to his throne, but the stakes were sky high. Maya's eyes widened, her exhaustion evident. 6 days. No sleep, she breathed, her voice a mix of dread and determination. 6 days. That's all we had. 6 days to finish a product that could blow a billion-dollar lie wide open, our hands moving faster as the clock ticked down, the pressure building with every passing hour. The 5th night, bleary-eyed and running on caffeine, I sent a beta link to a tech podcaster I trusted, my fingers trembling as I hit send, the fate of our project now in someone else's hands. The next morning, his video review hit 1 million views, his voice booming with praise. "A privacy-first revolution," he called it, the words echoing through my speakers as downloads soared, a tidal wave of support crashing over us. That night, my car alarm screamed into the stillness, a jarring wake-up call as I rushed outside to find my tires slashed, the rubber ribbons fluttering in the breeze. Under the wiper, a note. "Don't get clever," the ink smudged but the threat clear. But sometimes the biggest threat isn't outside your walls. It's sitting right next to you, a realization that gnawed at me as I stood in the cold, the night air chilling my bones. Maya's voice cut through the hum of keyboards, her tone sharp with alarm. "Something's wrong," she said, her screen displaying our commit logs. Timestamps didn't match, some hours off, others showing code changes none of us had made. Aaron frowned, his brow furrowing as he analyzed the data. "This isn't a hack. This is internal," he concluded, his words dropping like a stone into a still pond. My stomach tightened, a knot of betrayal forming. "You're saying someone here is feeding Malcolm?" I asked, my voice barely steady. Aaron clicked one last file, and the name popped up, Shelley. My breath caught. The room spinning as her name on the screen made my blood run cold, and I wanted answers before the sun came up, my trust shattered by the one who'd brought me the truth. Shelley showed up at my door before I could even hit call. Her hair messy, eyes red like she hadn't slept in days, her knock a desperate plea. "I didn't tell him everything," she blurted out before I could speak, her voice cracking under the weight of her confession. "He threatened my brother's job, said he'd fire him for security violations unless I gave him harmless updates." My voice was cold, a shield against the hurt. "Harmful or harmless, you still sold us out." Tears welled in her eyes, her face crumpling. "I swear, Ava, I never gave him the core algorithms." She reached into her bag and pulled out a flash drive, her hand shaking. "I've been keeping this. It's the real contract, proof he's lying to the government." I took it, but before I could plug it in, my phone buzzed. Malcolm had just moved the expo 2 days earlier. Half our time was gone, the team was cracking, and Malcolm was still 2 steps ahead. The air in my apartment was thick with the smell of coffee and tension, the room a battlefield of strewn papers and half-empty cups as bugs kept appearing in the code like cockroaches. Servers dropped without warning, their crashes punctuating our frustration, and tempers flared. Leo snapped at Aaron. Maya muttered under her breath, refusing to look up from her screen. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, ready to cut critical features just to make the deadline, the temptation to compromise gnawing at me. But Sentinel Core had to be airtight. If we launched half-baked, Malcolm would rip it apart before the end of the day, his vindictiveness a looming shadow. Then Aaron's phone buzzed, his face paling as he read the message. "Orion Tech's lawyers are on their way," he said, his voice a grim forecast. Then, just when I thought we were finished, the phone rang, and the voice on the other end hated Malcolm as much as I did, a lifeline thrown into our sinking ship. The voice was smooth, almost amused, cutting through the static of my panic. "I hear you're trying to take Malcolm down. I'd like to help." It was Blake Harmon, CEO of Cipher Cloud, one of Orion Tech's fiercest rivals, his tone laced with a personal vendetta. He didn't even pretend this was charity, his offer a calculated move. "Malcolm's burned me before. Consider this a personal favor." Within hours, we had premium cloud servers humming with power, a team of devs bolstering our ranks, and legal cover so tight even Malcolm's lawyers would struggle to punch through, their expertise a fortress around our fragile hope. That night, as we migrated our project, the weight of our new alliance settling in, I checked my phone. Malcolm had just tweeted, "Tomorrow, the world will see who's on top," his arrogance a challenge I was ready to meet. If Malcolm wanted to wine and dine his investors, fine. I'd make sure they left with my name in their heads. Leo and I slipped into Malcolm's investor dinner like we'd been invited, the place dripping with wealth, crystal glasses clinking, silk tablecloths rustling, a skyline view stretching beyond the windows. While Malcolm boasted about his imminent market domination, his voice a smug drone, we moved from table to table, slipping Sentinel Core invites under dessert plates and into wine lists, our movements swift and silent. I was almost to the door, the cool handle under my palm, when I felt him behind me, Malcolm's presence a dark cloud. His voice was low and venomous. "You won't live to see it," he hissed, his breath hot against my neck. Investors murmured my name, their curiosity piqued, a ripple of doubt spreading through the room as we slipped out, the threat lingering like a storm cloud. He told me I wouldn't live to see it. That night, I understood what he meant, the stakes rising with every step. When I opened my apartment door, my stomach dropped, the sight of drawers yanked out, screens smashed, and prototypes gone hitting me like a physical blow. The chaos was a testament to Malcolm's desperation, the air thick with the scent of destruction as I stepped over the wreckage. Aaron arrived minutes later, calm as ever, his steady presence a rock in the storm. He knelt, unzipped his backpack, and pulled out a sleek black drive, its surface gleaming with promise. "Encrypted, off-site backup. I knew this day would come," he said, plugging it in with a faint smile. "We're not starting from zero," he added, the words a lifeline as the screen flickered to life, our work preserved against the odds. But he didn't count on one thing. We had enough to go live, and I wasn't waiting another second, my resolve hardening with every breath. We went live at 9 a.m. sharp, the tension in the room palpable as Sentinel Core streamed a flawless demo, mapping suspicious data flows from mock government systems in real time, each alert backed by clear, indisputable proof. The chat exploded, comments scrolling so fast I couldn't keep up. Game changer. Finally, someone's doing this. Malcolm who? A digital chorus of support that swelled with every second. Thousands watched, their eyes on us, as the platform's elegance and power unfolded. Then the studio door slammed, the sound of thunderclap. Malcolm stormed in, face red, jaw tight, walking right into the livestream frame. He crashed my launch like a storm, but storms can be turned against themselves, and I was ready to harness his fury. "You stole my product," Malcolm barked, pointing at me, his voice a roar that echoed through the studio, his finger trembling with rage. I didn't flinch, my heart steady despite the chaos. "Aaron," I said, my voice clear and commanding, "play it." The screen behind us lit up, Malcolm's own voice spilling out, recorded, ordering his staff to falsify audit logs, the damning evidence laid bare for all to see. The chat went wild, fire emojis, hashtag MalcolmGate flooding the feed, a tidal wave of outrage and support crashing over us. Then a journalist on the call cut in, her tone sharp. "Mr. Reed, is Orion Tech harvesting civilian data?" By morning, the story wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to every reporter in the country, their pens poised to dismantle his empire. News outlets tore into him like sharks, their headlines a frenzy of leaked contracts, expense reports, and vendor invoices, each revelation a nail in Orion Tech's coffin. The smoking gun was everywhere, the evidence piling up as the company's stock went into freefall, investors fleeing like rats from a sinking ship. Federal investigators requested documents, their presence a shadow over Malcolm's once impregnable fortress, while a breaking alert flashed on my phone. Orion Tech board schedules emergency meeting. The world watched, breath held, as the boardroom doors closed, the outcome uncertain but leaning heavily in our favor. And if the board meeting went the way I hoped, Malcolm's reign was about to end, his throne toppled by the very system he'd built on lies. 3 hours later, it was official. The board froze his assets, stripped him of all authority, and appointed interim leadership, their decision a swift execution of justice. That afternoon, my inbox pinged with an offer from Orion Tech to buy Sentinel Core, immediately a desperate bid to salvage their sinking ship. He was out, his power stripped, and I had the upper hand, the taste of victory bittersweet on my tongue. The only question now was how to use it, my mind racing with possibilities as I stared at the email, the weight of my next move pressing down. I gathered the team, their faces a mix of exhaustion and triumph, ready to decide our future in the ruins of Malcolm's empire. We met in a glass-walled conference room, the irony not lost on me as we sat where my downfall began, the room now a battlefield of negotiation. "I'll license Sentinel Core to you," I told them, my voice firm, "but it stays independent. And you keep every employee whose job he jeopardized." The board hesitated, their eyes darting, weighing the cost of their fallen leader's sins against the salvation I offered. They agreed, the contract signed with a flourish, a new chapter beginning. That night, I watched the news, the screen glowing with footage of Malcolm, in a dark suit, being led away in handcuffs from a federal hearing, his defeat a public spectacle. And before the day was over, the person who betrayed me most would step into the light, her redemption a quiet victory. Shelley's confession hit the internet like wildfire, her raw video spilling every detail, the threats, the pressure, the guilt, her voice breaking as she laid bare her soul. The comments poured in with support, a digital embrace that lifted her from pariah to hero, the public's forgiveness a powerful tide. I reposted her video with 3 words: "All is forgiven," my gesture a bridge rebuilt over the chasm of betrayal. Then another email landed in my inbox, a global tech firm offering more money than I'd ever seen in my life, a fortune that shimmered with promise. Forgiveness is powerful, but so is the kind of money that can change your life forever, a realization that steadied my hands as I considered the offer. We took the deal, the signing a quiet ceremony in a sleek boardroom. Maya, Leo, Aaron, Shelley, every one of us walking away with life-changing payouts, the weight of our struggle lifting with each signature. I set aside a portion to start a whistleblower fund for tech workers, a legacy born from our pain, the rest a ticket to freedom we'd earned through sweat and tears. The next morning, a thick envelope arrived, its contents a golden ticket. The World Cybersecurity Summit invites you to deliver this year's keynote, a stage I'd fought for with every line of code. I got my revenge. Now I had a stage, and I wasn't wasting it, my heart pounding with the anticipation of what lay ahead. The lights were blinding, the audience a sea of faces stretching into the distance, their eyes fixed on me as I stepped onto the stage at the summit. I told them everything, not just the revenge, but the truth about building systems that hold power accountable, my words weaving a narrative of resilience and reform. The applause was thunderous, a wave that crashed over me, lifting me higher than I'd ever been. Backstage, a man in a navy suit approached, his badge glinting under the lights. "I'm with the government," he said. "We need your help reforming procurement." The official asked for my help, but the truth is, I'd already started, my mind already turning to the changes I could enact with this new platform. The glass doors were chained shut, the Orion Tech logo scrubbed from the facade, the building a hollow shell of its former glory. I stopped, let the silence wash over me, the cool breeze carrying away the last echoes of my past, and smiled. "They tried to erase me," I murmured, my voice soft but firm, a declaration of victory. "Now I'm helping write the rules," I added, the words a promise to myself and the world. Then I kept walking, my steps light, the future stretching before me like an open road, the lessons of my battle etched into every stride as I moved toward a horizon shaped by my own hands.